Dear Chosen One, the journey you began by destroying the evil kingdom was monumental, but what you didn't anticipate is that this victory would not be the end. You faced evil in its purest form and triumphed, but now, the cost of your conquest is revealed. The power you destroyed was only waiting for the right moment to rise again, and that moment has come. The evil that seemed defeated now seeks revenge, and what you did to defeat it might be the same thing that brings it back. You achieved something that few dare to dream, but the harsh truth is that the power you gained has a price that few are willing to pay. It is not just the enemy that is rising again, but something inside you also begins to change. The empire you destroyed was the manifestation of an evil that lives within us all. What you did was dismantle a reflection of your own shadows. Now, a new empire rises, but will it truly be a force for good, or are you just creating a new cycle of darkness? The true question you must ask yourself, Chosen One, is, are you ready to face what comes next? What happens when the power you've gained starts to corrupt the essence of what you believe? This is the true battle, and perhaps the most challenging you have ever faced. The rise of a new empire depends on your ability to lead with wisdom, without losing sight of the principles that shaped your victory. The destruction of evil seems like an act of heroism, a victory against the forces of darkness. But you, Chosen One, know that the true battle goes beyond that. As evil is eradicated, the need arises to fill the void left by its presence. However, what happens when you find yourself at the center of a new empire with power in your hands? The line between creating a kingdom of light and an empire of shadows is thin, and the temptation of power can become your greatest enemy. When you destroyed the evil kingdom, your intention was to purify the world, to eliminate corruption. However, without evil, without the antagonist, what would be left? A question that resonates deeply. Can power alone generate an empire of light? Or must it be continuously challenged, constantly moving, to avoid falling into a state of decay? This doubt is the key to understanding the path ahead. Now, as the new empire begins to take shape, the Chosen One finds themselves at a crucial crossroads. How will they use the power they have acquired? They can choose to govern with justice, but the temptation to use this power for their own ambitions can be great. The empire that rises from the ashes of evil has the potential to heal, but also to corrupt. And this choice is not simple, for it involves not only transforming the world but also transforming oneself internally. What many don't understand is that true power does not lie in the ability to destroy or create something grand, but in the wisdom to know when not to use that power. The Chosen One has a responsibility not only to the empire they build, but also to the essence they preserve. The story of evil is not just the story of a kingdom, but the story of how shadows infiltrate minds and hearts, trying to mold the very soul of the ruler. The empire that rises before you, Chosen One, is not just a material construction, but a spiritual one. Every action you take, every decision you make, reflects how evil or light will inhabit your heart. Will you be able to bear the weight of what is to come? Or will you be seduced by the very power you now possess? The true battle lies in maintaining balance and, above all, in not losing yourself while trying to create something grand. As the empire grows, the shadows begin to grow as well. Not because evil has physically returned, but because power, by itself, is like a flame that can both illuminate and consume. Every decision you make, Chosen One, has the potential to create a reality where the empire is both light and darkness. The path of leadership is full of temptations, and the greatest one is the belief that absolute power is the answer to all questions. And this is where the true lesson is revealed. Power is not the key to peace or harmony, but the way you choose to use it. Creating an empire of light requires more than strength or dominance. It requires discernment, wisdom, and the humility to recognize that the greatest empire you can build is not outside of you, but within yourself. The true battle is internal, and it is this battle that defines the destiny of the new empire. The chosen one, upon realizing that the power gained brings both a blessing and a curse, begins to understand that what matters most is not their ability to control the empire, but their capacity to maintain the true essence of their mission. The empire, which now rises under their leadership, is at risk of becoming a shadow of what it should be. Every action, every decision they make could lead the empire in a new direction. One where evil rises again, stronger, disguised under the mantle of good intentions. What was destroyed can return, and what is being created may be even worse. The choice is not simple, for power carries within it the seed of corruption. The glory of conquest can cloud the vision of one who once fought for justice. And in the heart of the chosen one, a new battle begins. As the new empire grows, the chosen one begins to feel the weight of their choices. They know that the pursuit of power can be treacherous and often disguised as necessity. Evil is no longer visibly present, but now it manifests subtly in small decisions that seem innocent, but carry the seed of corruption. It is in the details that danger hides, in the intention behind the action, in the justification masked as goodwill. The empire demands constant decisions, and each one can be a step toward heaven or the abyss. The chosen one must guard not only against enemies, but against themselves. For the dormant evil is the most dangerous of all. The temptation to use power to satisfy one's own desires begins to grow. What was once an opportunity to build something just becomes an ego trap. The empire, instead of serving the common good, begins to revolve around the image of the chosen one themselves. The praises multiply, and the public acclaim begins to seduce. They find themselves applauded, revered, and at risk of confusing this with their true purpose. The image becomes more important than the essence, and the empire that should be a cure begins to transform into a new form of oppression. The shadow returns, disguised as light. And when the chosen one looks to the future, they ask themselves, am I really creating an empire of light, or simply gilding the same darkness I once overthrew? The conflict now is internal. It is no longer about defeating external monsters, but about facing the reflection that power reveals. What are they seeking with this empire? Freedom for others, or exaltation of themselves? The lines between honor and vanity blur. The temptation to justify personal excesses with good intentions grows, and the external empire begins to reflect the inner empire. What is inside now shapes everything around it. The weight of responsibility begins to affect their mind and spirit. Every gesture they make echoes throughout the empire. What was once a noble vision now demands constant vigilance. The chosen one realizes they do not govern just a territory, but a narrative. And this narrative is always under threat of distortion. The people see them as a hero, but they must remember that even heroes can fall. Vanity can be as dangerous as the enemy they destroyed. The spiritual war is now silent, intimate, and it is within the heart of the chosen one that it will be won or lost. He finally understands that destroying evil was not the end. It was just the beginning of a much deeper journey. An empire can only be just if it is a reflection of a just soul. Before ruling others, the chosen one must rule themselves. They must identify their shadows, face their flaws, and tame their impulses. The true empire begins in the invisible, and this is where the chosen one will have to dig, build, and fight. For only then will what is built outside of them not fall. True leadership is born from self-knowledge. Without it, every reign is an illusion. The greatest battle now is against the temptation to lose oneself in power. Evil, defeated externally, tries to be reborn internally. And the chosen one realizes that being strong is not just about resisting, but recognizing when one is on the brink of falling. The invisible war is the hardest of all. There are no applause, no crowns, no celebrations. But there is silence. There is truth. There is confrontation with the self. And it is in this confrontation that the chosen one proves themselves worthy. He who conquers themselves can, at last, create an empire that will not be consumed by the shadow. In the silence of his throne, the chosen one begins to understand what it truly means to reign. It is not the strength of his sword that sustains the empire, but the firmness of his spirit. Applause ceases, the spotlights fade, and all that remains is the sound of his own conscience. It is there that the most important decisions are made, not before the people, but before the truth. An empire of light is not forged with shouts, but with discernment. And true power is silent, invisible, but relentless. The forces that once desired the fall of the evil kingdom now look at the chosen one with suspicion. Those who once applauded him now question him. Is he changing? They ask. Is he becoming like those he destroyed? It is at this moment that the chosen one understands that the harshest judgment does not come from others, but from the soul itself. The weight of leadership is not carrying a crown, but maintaining a pure heart. It is easy to reign when everything is going well, but it is in the crisis the true character is revealed, and the empire, once glorious, begins to show cracks. Not because of external enemies, but because of internal neglect. The rush to expand made the spiritual foundations be ignored. The chosen one realizes that he has built much, but strengthened little. The rush to win can become the seed of failure. There is no point in raising tall walls if the foundation is rotted by ego. There is no stable empire where there is no inner truth. The fall begins in the invisible, and when you realize it, it is already too late. But there is still time. The chosen one doesn't need to follow the path of tyrants. He has the chance to start over, to restore not only the empire, but himself. To do so, he must stop. Silence the pride. Listen to what really matters. Return to the original purpose. An empire born of light must be sustained by it every day. And this light does not come from outside. It must be cultivated, cared for, maintained with humility. The greatest act of power is to recognize when you were wrong and decide to do differently. In this process, the chosen one learns that leadership is service, not domination. The true ruler is the one who bends before demanding, the one who listens before commanding, the one who forgives before punishing. And this inversion is what transforms common kingdoms into eternal legacies. The empire does not need to be immense, it needs to be just. And justice is born only from a restored heart. The deeper the inner work, the stronger what is built outside will be. The enduring empire is the reflection of the soul that sustains it. Those who once sought revenge now watch in silence. Something has changed. They feel it. The chosen one no longer governs with a thirst for power, but with a commitment to purpose. And this, by itself, is a weapon more powerful than any army. For a spirit aligned with the divine cannot be dominated. It cannot be bribed. It cannot be corrupted. The external enemy retreats when it realizes the interior is firm. Evil only prospers where there are breaches. And now, there are no more. The darkness realizes it has lost, not because of the destruction of its kingdom, but because of the silent construction of a new man. The empire that is reborn now has a different foundation. It is not driven by ambition, but by purpose. It is not sustained by fear, but by consciousness. And this is what makes revenge fail. Because evil expected a new tyrant, but it found a true king, a spirit aligned with light. And it is in this light that the true empire will be built. But even with the spiritual victory, the chosen one knows that vigilance never ends. Evil may have been defeated today, but it will always seek new ways to return, sometimes disguised as allies, sometimes in seductive ideas. That's why the true empire needs guardians of consciousness, not just soldiers. And the chosen one, more than a king, must be a sentinel of his own soul. For it is there that the next attack always begins, and the only real shield is truth. The people, noticing the change, begin to transform as well. An empire guided by light inspires light in hearts. There is no more fear, only trust. There is no imposition, only direction. People no longer obey out of obligation, but by identification. The leadership of the chosen one becomes a collective reflection. His integrity begins to shape the culture, and evil with no space to feed on weakens. A just empire is one that does not need chains, because it is anchored in consciousness. The chosen one understands that his greatest mission was not to defeat evil, but to heal the legacy it left. The ancient evil kingdom did not destroy cities, it destroyed values. It corrupted ideas, planted lies, divided hearts. And this reconstruction is not done with force. It is done with truth. The chosen one, now aware, becomes a spiritual healer. And every action he takes becomes a symbol of restoration. The empire that rises is not made only of walls, but of meanings. But the shadow tries once again. It whispers that everything is under control, that there is no more risk. It tries to seduce the chosen one with the illusion of comfort. It is at this moment that the real danger lurks, when one believes the war is over. Evil doesn't need to win. It just needs to be forgotten. And for this reason, the chosen one remains awake. He knows there is no final end. That light is not a permanent conquest, but a daily choice, and that each day is a new silent battle. When remembering the fall of the evil kingdom, the chosen one no longer feels pride, but reverence. He understands that it was not his strength that brought victory, but the divine intervention that guided him at the right moment. Pride gave way to gratitude, and arrogance to sacred fear. He no longer sees evil as an external enemy, but as a lesson about himself, a living reminder that power is not an end. It is a test, and few remain pure after touching it. This is how true authority is born. not from imposition, but from elevation. The chosen one does not rule with shouts, but with presence. He doesn't need threats, because his coherence speaks louder. He does not try to convince. He embodies what he believes. And that is why the empire prospers. Because where there is truth, there is fertility. Where there is consciousness, there is expansion. And where there is a spirit aligned with the divine, there is blessing. The empire of now is not just political, it is spiritual. The chosen one did not become an ordinary king. He became a beacon, a living reminder that it is possible to win without losing oneself, to govern without corruption, to build without forgetting the foundations. He knows that an empire of light is not meant to last forever in the world, but rather to leave eternal marks on the souls. And that is his true legacy. Not the gold, nor the titles, but the transformation he caused in every heart he touched. That no one can take away. But do not think, chosen one, that the path will always be clear. There will be days when doubt will knock at your door, when darkness will seem more comfortable than light. In those moments, you will be tempted to give up everything. But remember, the empire you built is not just an external structure. It lives in the collective consciousness. Every choice you make impacts lives. Every silence you make speaks. You are no longer just a warrior. You are a reference. Those who once wanted your downfall still watch from a distance. They wait for a slip, a weakness, a failure. Because it is easier to discredit the light than to change one's own life. But you do not need to defend yourself. Your presence is enough. Coherence will be your shield. Consistency will be your sword. And truth will be your throne. Because no evil empire can withstand the strength of an upright spirit, and the revenge they so desire will never find space. However, there will be moments of solitude. Being chosen also means carrying burdens that few understand. The decisions will be heavy, the demands intense. Many will not see what you see. They will not understand what you feel. But do not be discouraged. For the burden of purpose is the only one that, even when heavy, sanctifies those who carry it. You are not alone. Heaven is watching. The invisible kingdom stands by your side, and every step you take is being written in eternity. You now understand that destroying an evil kingdom is only the first act. The hardest part is preventing it from being reborn within you. Because the evil that dwells in the world begins as a whisper in the soul. It is pride disguised as self-confidence. It is ego masquerading as leadership. And what defines a true king is not how much he conquers, but how much he resists himself. Defeating the external enemy requires strength. Defeating the internal one requires spirit. And only the spirit prevails. Therefore, remain awake. The empire may flourish, but the roots need to be nourished every day. Justice must be cultivated. Compassion must be exercised. Truth must be affirmed. One does not govern just with decrees. One governs with example. The people do not follow words. They follow presence. And your presence is sacred, because it carries the weight of a past, overcome, and the hope of an uncorrupted future. You are the bridge between what was and what can be. And if one day you fall, let it be on your knees, not out of weakness, but out of reverence. Let your fall be a prayer. Let your mistake turn into teaching, because even the great ones fall. But the chosen ones rise differently, more humble, more conscious. more aligned. The fall is part of the ascension process, and there is no shame in starting over when the heart still beats with purpose. Failure is human. Restoration is divine. The empire you govern is not just territory. It is a symbol. It represents everything that is possible when a human being decides not to bow to darkness, when they choose not to repeat patterns, when they prefer purpose over fame, and service over dominion. Each pillar of this new kingdom is a reminder that evil can be defeated, and that light, no matter how attacked, always finds a way to shine. Even in dark times, even among ruins, the people begin to realize that the true miracle was not the fall of the old kingdom, but the transformation of the king himself. The chosen one did not settle on the throne, he refined himself in it. With every decision, he renounced small vanities. With every injustice avoided, he purified his crown. The empire was no longer just his, but an extension of his awakened consciousness. And for that reason, he did not need to shout to be heard. His wisdom made silence, and that silence commanded crowds. In the distance, the last remnants of the ancient darkness still try to launch arrows of doubt. But now, they do not penetrate. There are no more breaches. The chosen one does not justify himself, for his life speaks for him. Righteousness became his shield, memory became his warning, and humility his greatest protection. Those who once feared him now respect him, because they realized that you do not fight against a man when he has become a symbol. And symbols cannot be destroyed by revenge, and it is at this moment, when revenge fails, that the darkness dissolves, because it only exists where there is inner chaos. And now there is no more chaos. There is purpose. The chosen one's empire has become a living organism of balance, justice, and truth. And the light that once guided him on the battlefield now guides him in every glance, in every word, in every decision. He understood that true victory does not lie in the destruction of evil, but in the continuous denial of becoming it. Time passes. The empire matures. The boundaries expand, not by fear, but by inspiration. Other lands, hearing about a kingdom of true justice, begin to approach. They want to learn. They want to reflect. They want to imitate. And it is then that the legacy of the chosen one surpasses the physical and enters the eternal. Because when your transformation generates transformation in others, you have transcended history. You have ceased to be just someone who won and have become a beacon that guides. But not everything is external victories. The chosen one still feels the marks of what he faced. Deep scars, difficult memories, the pain of what was lost, the weight of what was done. And still, he does not victimize himself, because each wound served as a reminder. Each pain turned into wisdom. Each fall taught him to walk with more lightness. And the heart that once pulsed with fury now pulses with compassion. The past no longer binds him, it strengthens him. Suffering has turned into fertile soil. Today, when looking at everything he has built, the chosen one does not see power, but responsibility. Every life touched, every soul healed, every justice served. All of this has become part of him. The throne is not a reward. It is an altar. The empire is not a trophy. It is a mission, and the time that remains will be used to continue serving, to continue awakening, to continue expanding the light, because he knows that evil can return. But as long as he stands firm, the world will have hope. And finally, He understands what few understand, that the greatest act of strength is not destroying evil, but preventing it from transforming us. That the greatest act of courage is not fighting against others, but against oneself. That the greatest empire is not the one seen with the eyes, but the one felt in the soul. And that is why he won. Not because everything went right, but because he remained whole, faithful, true, chosen. And this, no one can erase. Chosen one. If you've made it this far, it's because you also carry within you an empire to build. Perhaps you've already destroyed many evil kingdoms in your life. Traumas, lies, fears. But now it's time to build something new. Something that no one can take from you. The world tries to mold you, but the divine calls you to awaken. Your story does not end with the fall of the enemy. It begins the day you decide not to be like what you faced. No matter how much the past has tried to corrupt you, you are here. And this alone proves that something greater is in motion. You weren't called just to survive, but to reign with consciousness, to lead with soul, to build with spirit. Your pain does not define you, but prepares you. Your weakness does not invalidate you, it refines you. Because what makes you chosen is not perfection, it is purpose. And purpose is always greater than the scar. The true empire you build begins when you refuse to bow to hatred. When you decide that your legacy will be light, even when the world offers darkness. You are not here by chance. It was not all in vain. The battles, the silences, the fresh starts. All of it served to prepare you for this moment. The moment you stop running and begin to reign. Not by domination, but by truth. Not by force, but by faith. Not by control, but by consciousness. May this video be the reminder you needed to continue. May each word echo in your soul as a calling. And wherever you go, may the empire you build be a reflection of the light that burns in you. An invisible empire, but unshakable. An empire that no evil can dominate. Because it was built not with human hands, but with the presence of the divine. You are the chosen one, and this no one can annul. If you felt this message spoke to your soul, write in the comments, "I am light." This way, you declare to the universe that your light is active and your heart is awake. Take this moment to leave your like so that this message reaches more chosen ones. Subscribe to the channel and activate the notifications. Because, though, next video will elevate your consciousness even more. I want to thank everyone who supports us through the Buy Me a Coffee link. Your support helps this message reach more lives and helps us improve the content on this channel. If you'd like to become a supporter, the link is pinned in the first comment. And if you want to take an even deeper step, check out the next video recommended on screen, or deepen your journey in the Secrets of the Chosen Ones playlist. May your light continue to grow, and your truth never be extinguished. Thank you for following us this far, and may God bless you.